Hey, it's Mazzy. Welcome back to the channel, Bold as Love. This is a new release, an upcoming release announcement. It was just dropped today from Legacy Sony Music and the Jimi Hendrix estate. Bold as Love, a box set expanded edition, vinyl and CD and Blu-ray. I'm going to get into the details of this. And the reason I like to do these is because when I was 14, 15 years old, I buy my copy of Rolling Stone every 2 weeks, and the first thing I'd turn to would be random notes. Some say, Mazzy, what are you doing this for? This is like a commercial. It's not a commercial. I like to talk about the bands, the artists, new and old, that are coming out of releases. This is about records and vinyl. Yes, I show a lot of stuff from my own collection, but I find that a lot of people don't pay attention to the forums, aren't on any email lists, don't subscribe to these artists on Instagram or labels on Facebook or anywhere else. And so sometimes you get your information from Mazzy. And that's what I like to give you. Now, if it doesn't interest you, you can move on to something when I talk about the Bulgarian vocal choir's upcoming box set next time. But this is about Axis Bold as Love, of course. Jimi Hendrix's second album, 2 out of 3 studio albums he had, and that was done, unfortunately. Very short recording career. Of course, we have a lot of outtakes that have come out over the years, a lot of box sets, a lot of posthumous releases back in the 1970s, obviously. Some were wonderful, some maybe not so much. Eddie Kramer, the original engineer, has really kind of curated a lot of this stuff and did a great job for the most part, especially of the last 10, 20 years. I think a lot of those releases have been corrected in terms of box sets, live sets. I love the big Winterland box set. I like the purple set that came out with 10, 15 years ago, both on CD and vinyl, which is a mix of classic tracks and alternate versions. I am a big Jimi Hendrix, so I'll put these records on and just let them play and just blast them because I'm that generation. But of course, what a major figure in music. And in 1967, he did 2 records, of course. Are You Experienced? And then December 1st in the UK, Axis Bold as Love came out. Didn't come out until January in 68 in the US. This is a stereo copy. This is about a 1970 copy. And this is a mono cut that came out in the last decade. I believe Bernie Grundman cut this, QRP pressed these. I do not know about the mastering of this new set on vinyl. I'm going to get you details on the vinyl and the CD set and a Blu-ray and Atmos, Dolby Atmos. Some of you are into that. I'm not into that so much, but I have some that are part of other sets, but I no longer have a surround setting, and I certainly don't have an Atmos sound, but there's an audience for that, and it's cool that Eddie Kramer and his team has worked on that. Now, these albums were originally produced by Chaz Chandler, who was the bass player of the Animals prior to this, and he produced the first 2 albums, along with Jimi Hendrix mixing on this and Eddie Kramer as the engineer. The sad thing about this, I've read, that they had finished mixing this, and Jimi Hendrix left side 1 of the master tape in a black taxi in London. And they loved the mix. And the next day they had to like remix everything within a few hours, apparently, to get it in time for a Christmas release or a holiday release. And unfortunate, never found that tape. Where is that master tape? In a black taxi somewhere, still in London? Can you imagine? God, can you imagine finding the masters to this? Anyway, they rushed the mix, and Hendrix was never really in love with the final mixes on this. I don't know if any of these, I don't think they're not remixed for the album, but I'm going to go through the whole collection here and the press release and tell you what's coming out. So, coming out November 7th, Experience Hendrix and Legacy Recordings are releasing Bold as Love by the Jimi Hendrix Experience on November 7th. Produced by Jimi Hendrix and the original recording engineer, Eddie Kramer and John McDermott. Expansive collection is either a 5 LP set plus a Blu-ray. So you have 2 choices here. 5 LPs and a Blu-ray, which has the Dolby Atmos mix, surround mix, or you can get 4 CDs plus a Blu-ray. Now I'm going to read through some of the vinyl contents, but I'm not going to read everything because you can go to the Hendrix site. I'm going to put a link below to that, but obviously it's going to be everywhere. You can read the whole list. You don't need me to kind of go through, but there are a lot of outtakes. Now, what it says here, there's going to be 40 bonus studio and live tracks, 28 previously unreleased. Now, those of you who are really zeroed in on Jimi Hendrix will know this much better than I do. I have a substantial Jimi Hendrix vinyl collection, also some CDs. I have all the boxes. You can see some of them right here on my shelf here. I have all the proper albums and, of course, all the subsequent posthumous records that came out. Some problematic, but still, I love putting his music on and just blasting it. And as that big, remember that big purple box set came out some years ago? That's a collection. I love that. That's a great one. There's the blues albums. There's the Winterland 68. That was so great. And of course, in 67, after the Monterey Pop Festival and after the debut album, Jimi Hendrix exploded. He was everywhere. The Beatles, Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton saw him live. He comes to San Francisco. Bill Graham books him 5 nights at the Fillmore. 68, he does that great Winterland show. He does Berkeley, Jimmy at Berkeley. Just great, great stuff. Of course, Woodstock in 1969. Here are some of the other things included here. I'll just give you a little taste of it. Previously unreleased alternate takes recorded at Olympic Studios, like Spanish Castle Magic, You Got Me Floatin', One Rainy Wish, Up from the Skies, Wait Until Tomorrow, and others. Now, this is a record that was more mature than the first record. There's more, you see his maturity in his songwriting. There's some mellower things, which nothing's mellow with Jimi Hendrix, but there's more melody in songs like Little Wing and Castles Made of Sand, and even Bold as Love. Beautiful backwards guitars, but there's an openness, an air to these songs. So it's not just a assault of guitar noise, except for EXP opens up with that kind of kitschy semi-interview of flying saucers, and Jimmy for a couple minutes goes on to this mechanical soundscape through amplifiers and custom wired Stratocaster guitars, just making all that noise. And which I love, I mean, as much as the mono is cool here in 1967 at the end of that year, but this is where more phasing comes into play, especially on Bold as Love, more panning left and right channels of his guitar noises and those backwards guitar recordings. I love that stuff. That's why, to me, psychedelia most of the time works best in stereo. And I was playing my copy today here, and also in the car I was playing a CD, and just having in the CD, when you're surrounded by those door panels and that music is going back and forth pretty loud, it's pretty awesome, I think. And then there's comprehensive liner notes here by David Frick, essay by David Frick, outlining this period. This is the end of the experience, the end of the Jimi Hendrix experience, because we know that in 1968, Electric Ladyland was not the same cohesive band as these two albums. So to recap, 5 LPs or 4 CDs. And basically the LPs, LP1, the stereo mix, LP2, the mono mix, LP3 and 4, the outtakes, the demos, the alternative, the experiments and guitar stuff, LP5, those live tracks in Sweden and in the UK. So Bold as Love, an expansion of the 1967/1968 Jimi Hendrix experience. The last album by this trio, and top 10 around the world. And of course, most of you know it, but if you don't have it, this might be a nice place to get the mono and the stereo together, and plus all those outtakes. And check it out. Thanks again for watching. Mazzy loves you.